Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for another episode of Customizing Culture, the HeatPressNation podcast. I'm your host, Jared Barbosa, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. I have Kenji Hilton from IKendoit.Studio. How you doing today, Kenji?
I'm good.
Dude, it is so good to have you, man. Fan of your work. I love what you do. But for the people who may not know you yet, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the warm intro. So, name's Kenji. I also go by Ken or Mizu. Depends on which part of my life we've met.
Okay.
I feel like every name kind of has a different chapter or story to it.
So I'm new.
Yeah.
So Kenji is cool.
Yeah,
Did I call you the wrong one?
I've been pushing Kenji.
Okay, cool.
Just because like I'm half Japanese, but I grew up in Japan.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah, it's a nickname that's followed me from like first grade basically, and I kind of been embracing that more as I've been kind of on this artistic journey since. I don't know. My name's like Ken Hilton, and a lot of people think it's fake. Because one, Ken, with the Barbie movie coming out, it's just been crazy.
Funny.
Yeah,
okay.
I get a lot of references my whole life, like, oh, Barbie and Ken, blah, blah, blah. And Hilton, like the Hilton Hotel, Paris Hilton, like everywhere I go, if I say my name, it kind of like throws off the conversation. So I just keep it focused on Kenji or Mizu cool. is my DJ artist name. So
okay,
yeah,
and we're going to get into that.
Exactly, yeah. And it kind of like gives me a reference of like where I met you too, which is cool because I feel like every chapter is like really different, but also the same story.
Yeah.
But yeah, my name's Kenji. I run IKendoit.Studio, which is my one-man design firm. Started off first as a freelance company where I did motion graphics, 3D design for artists, mostly in the electronic music scene. That's where I'm primarily from. So.
And when you say like 3D design, like for like the LED screens, or
yeah, some visuals or like assets.
Sick.
Yeah, I use Blender because it's free. Free software is the best. So
yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just always been like about learning more and like kind of adding onto my skill set. And I hit a point where I'm like, I can do this all on my own. Like I don't need a company to really get me a job, right?
Yeah.
And I think, that's a whole different conversation. But basically, I do everything myself. I'm very proud of it. And I hope to like kind of push this ideology onto new people who are starting off being like, you don't need expensive equipment. You don't need, proper training. You can just go on YouTube and learn so much today. So that's like my whole ethos is like, I'm a regular person. I'm not special. Like, and I think you can do it too. That's the I can do it part.
Dude, I love it. Honestly, I feel like we really are aligned on a lot of our views, but especially the like, you don't need super crazy equipment. I think, and not to get ahead of ourselves, but like, I think we run almost the exact same equipment. So what's your heat press right now?
I got the 16x20 auto.
The Signature series?
Yep, Signature, slide out.
Yes.
The slide out is key.
That's my heat press.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Now mine's older than yours. So I got mine when I first started like 7 years ago. So I actually started at this company with like zero experience.
Okay.
Like I'd never touched a heat press before in my life. Started here just because I needed a job, right? And then like I was hooked instantly. So within a few weeks, I think it was like my second paycheck, I threw it back in and I bought some gear. And then you also run the Silhouette Cameo.
Yep.
You're on the 4?
Yeah, the 4
I'm
plus.
on the 3. Yeah. Oh, 4 plus. Okay.
The extra couple inches,
For sure. You got to get that full cut. So
exactly.
I'm still behind. I'm on the 3. I started off with the Cameo 2, and then one Christmas Eve, it took a dive off of. I had it on a high shelf, and I was getting it down. So now I'm on the Cameo 3, and I've been reluctant to upgrade just because I love it. It works so good. So yeah, I think it's really cool. We have like basically like the same setup at home, but and we're gonna get more into that in just a minute. But first, because see, I get ahead of myself, right?
It's easy to do that.
Yeah. But first, man, I really want to kind of get into your story. So can you talk just a little bit about how you started in the music industry, right? Would you say you started first as a musician or as like a designer?
I would say that music followed me first because in high school I was in band. I played saxophone. I was a band nerd, Shout out to the band people.
Yeah.
I love saxophone. I was in jazz band, concert band, pep band, like because we kind of had to be in everything. But jazz really like spoke to me because that was like the improvising and more freestyle part of music.
Yeah, more expressive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Versus like the orchestra stuff, it's cool, but it's like you got to play by the book kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I always like kind of going by my own rules. I think that's kind of like my whole personality is like, I don't mind learning, but once I learn something, I'm like, I want to do it my own way.
Yeah.
So yeah, like music has been a big fundamental for me since I was like a child. And now I'm 33, Wow. Millennials.
We're still kids, man. We're still young at heart, man.
Skincare
35.
Going on. Yeah. But yeah, so music has always been a big part of my life, but I kind of felt burnt out from all the band like regimen because, it's very strict. It's like, you gotta be here, you gotta do this, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. So took a break. In college, my homie showed me how to DJ on a laptop. And from that moment on, like everything just changed. Like it was
Did
crazy.
it just like click?
It
with
clicked,
you?
yeah. Because like I always liked electronic music. I have so many things to just say randomly, so I apologize if it's
No,
just
dude,
getting
I
a
love
little bit
it.
of a tangent.
It's all you. We're here. We want to hear your story because I know that
Yeah.
there's people out there who are going to be able to identify with it, and it's going to inspire somebody to get out there and do their own thing. So we want it all, man. We want it
Okay,
all.
for sure. So I grew up in Japan. Japan, you know, everyone kind of is a little bit more familiar with the lifestyle now. You know, a lot of anime and stuff, but it's a lot deeper than that, right? But back in the day, you know, anime and DDR kind of ruled the world, and I actually competed in DDR.
Dude, that's funny. Travis, who I don't know if you've met yet, he has one in his garage.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah, he like loves it.
Okay, dope.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But you know, DDR is electronic music, very like weird music to the general public, but I loved it because I always like being different, and I think that was the fundamental of like why I liked the more techno electronics produced music versus like the traditional pop and like more polished, you know, easier listening music. And over time, like my interest of the saxophone and then going back to DJing, it kind of like all clicked together in college. It was my senior year, and I bought a mixer and I just started learning, and I was like, fuck, this is what I want to do. Like, it all started making sense. Like, because I think when we grow up, you know, I'm half Asian, so I have relatively strict but also understanding parents. My dad's white, you know, so it's kind of like two different backgrounds kind of coming together. And growing up in Japan, they're, you know, very different lifestyle as well. Coming to America is different upbringing. So
how old were you when you came? So you're born in America, grew up over there, and then how old were you when you came back?
I moved to Hawaii when I was 10 or 11.
Okay.
I forgot what the exact number was because it's been a while now since I told this story. But yeah, I moved around a lot, so I think I kind of like soaked in different cultures and
that's cool.
values, and you know, it really like formed who I am today. And like I really appreciate like the Japanese upbringing because I think it makes me like really respectful and polite, but also like really hardworking. Yeah. And like America, there's a lot more opportunities, I think, to do random stuff. Like people can just press shirts and make a job, you know, for example, which is crazy. Like in Japan, like that's a lot more rare because you're kind of stuck to this regimen of like, you got to go to school and then get the degree and then straight to work until you die, you know? And yeah, I mean, it's wild. So I'm just super grateful that my parents gave me these opportunities and, you know, like they were very supportive, but I had to really pave like what I wanted to do versus like, they didn't hand me
you still got to carve your own path.
Exactly. So to tie this all back, going from, you know, music, I wanted a job where I was in an industry that was at least related to what I wanted to do. Prior to this, I was an engineer. I worked at an engineering firm, Fortune 500, you know, making good bucks.
So you graduated with your
chemical engineering degree.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Question: So you say so in college you're discovering music and all of that. You've been doing music since high school. How was there like an inner struggle as you're going through college to get this degree, but also realizing that you're like, oh shoot, I love this stuff too. Like what was like was there an internal struggle going on or?
Not really, because I didn't think it was a feasible career at the time.
Oh, so it's just a hobby. It's just fun.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't see creative as like a job because I didn't know anyone who did that, so I couldn't believe it. You know, there was no seeing to believing moment.
Were you fully prepared to live that corporate life? Like in college, were you fully prepared to like just be the corporate guy for the rest of your life?
I thought that was it. I thought that was the life path that was destined for me. You know, but I think in college you do a lot of different things and your mind opens up and, you know, seeing different experiences kind of awakened that part of my head, which kind of relates to the whole vision branding as well, which I'll cover later.
I love, by the way.
Thank you.
Super sick shirt.
Yeah, this one is actually screen printed. It's a 7-color process print, which is crazy. My vendor, Noe, he's a master. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Noe and Edgar. They're in Riverside now, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
They kill it, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I would say my music career, I gave it my best shot. I gave it 7 years of solid grinding, like producing, DJing, going out to gigs and all this. But, you know, it just gets kind of tiring.
It's a tough industry. Me and my brothers have been in a band since 2013 or something like that. No. Sorry, 2008. 2013 anyways. So yeah, and honestly, I only continue on it because it's fun and I love it and I love making music. But like as a career, I wouldn't say I've given up on it, but I've accepted the fact that if this is it, then that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we're still pushing, still trying, but the music industry is tough.
Yeah.
It is I would say the music industry is much more difficult to make it than with like your own brand.
100%. And that's kind of like the whole thing was like, you know, we have 24 hours a day and you have to decide where you're going to allocate those 24 hours, you know, and I'm a person that likes to do everything because that's just who I am. I can do it.Studio. But even I was like, I need to make some decisions now because I can't be 50% music, 50% design. You know, I have to go 100% or like at least 90-10, you know, something like that. So, so basically what's cool about this whole journey is like the music career has made me learn these skills because when you produce music and you want to release it, you need cover art, right?
Yes, dude. Yes.
So you're going to hire someone off Fiverr for $10 and go back and forth for, you know, 2 weeks and get something you don't like. Yeah. Use Midjourney AI and get something weird. Yeah. Or are you just going to learn it yourself and, you know, make what you want? Yeah. And it's a process that takes time. But once you have like 2 years of doing something, that's kind of like, I think when your work becomes presentable is like around the 2-year mark for a lot of things.
Right. Unless you're directly ripping people off, like to develop your own style. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It takes 100%. Time, you know, and like, but the beauty of that is like, not only did you create your own style, but now you have the skill set to give services. So if someone needs a design, now you can be like, oh, $50, sure. You know, when you start off, it's okay to start small, but you're going to have to define your value over time, obviously. But,
yes. And be sure to increase that value as your skills increase.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's the short version of it. It's just like music forced me to learn how to design better. And then from that point on, I had to make motion graphics to, you know, put a video behind my song. So I learned After Effects. Okay. And that's just how it went, man. I was like, I don't want to pay people.
Yeah. And then other people started hiring you for that. And then, yeah. Okay. Awesome. It's always fun for me to meet people. You don't even realize you're kind of on a parallel path. So like when we first started our band, 2008 era, right? We needed stuff. For me, it was show flyers because we were always throwing our own shows because nobody would bring us to their venue. So like, fine, we'll throw our own shows. So I was doing like the artwork for the flyers. And then, hey, can you do artwork for this? We weren't even on that show, but I would do their postcards and you know, everybody would handle the postcards. And so then I started doing album art for my other friends' bands. And then that got me into a real job, right? Working with like a real estate company. And then I was like, oh, I'm like a corporate. Like I'm like doing, and then I was doing all that. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm a sellout. And then I got serious with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. And I was like, oh, I need something even more serious than this. And that's what ended me up here. But part of what got me here was that like it was a creative. Like when I found this company, I was like, oh, you could be creative here, like making shirts. And I was like, oh, and that really, because one thing I did like about the real estate job was I was at least doing something fun, like designing flyers and marketing materials and stuff. And it's kind of a sucky gig. But then when I came here, I was like, oh, the creativity just spoke to me. And like I said, like I don't know if I said this before in our like pre-talk, but when I first started working here, like I was sold within weeks, like second or third paycheck, I bought my stuff, just because I think I love being creative, like I really do. Like if I had a job where I was just, you know, an accountant or something like that, like I would for sure have a metal band at night or something, like, you know, something of that nature, because I feel like I have to have that sort of like a creative expression in my life in some capacity. So let's just say hypothetically here, if you had continued on that corporate path, do you think you would have been like moonlighting as still either as a DJ or as a graphic designer or something like that?
That is a crazy question because that's like a parallel universe kind of thing, right? Yeah. Like second universe. I'll probably be doing music, I think.
Music? Okay.
Because so the thing with music to me is like music is very personal and to the heart. Like it comes from my soul kind of thing. Yeah. Versus design, yes, I care about design, but I'm more okay with monetizing design. Which is why like I sell clothing. You know?
I have a very hard time monetizing music or writing to accommodate something that might sell better.
Yeah, and I think this is like something every creative or artist goes through. It's like, you know, first you start something because you love it, but then there's like that turning point where, okay, do I love this enough to make it a job, or is it gonna stay as a hobby? Because once you start chasing the job aspect, it becomes less fun. A lot of the fun disappears.
For sure.
You know? Yeah.
And you have to make a lot of concessions with it too, because even if you are running your own business, you have to make concessions for the customers, for your supplier, for your print method. You know, there's all these things that you know that go into it.
Exactly.
How the sausage is made.
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole thing with like my brands that I run is like I make stuff that I wear, so I'm not like selling out. Like it's like I do this because I want this too, and if I can sell like 100 units, then I can order 100 units versus like paying for one sample that's like $150. So you know, it's like that's kind of like my ethos is like I only sell stuff that I believe in. Like I don't want to just make some random Etsy shit that sells like $1 million. That'd be cool, like to have that, but like I don't strive to do that. If that pops off, that'd be sick. But like I don't dedicate my time to just make money. Like I dedicate my time to be good at what I do.
Do you get I don't know if you've seen these videos where it's like, here's how you could create passive income. Go steal someone's design, have someone fulfill it for you on Etsy. Like I get so offended by that.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
it's a weird vibe for sure.
Yeah.
Because I think the way you present yourself online really dictates the kind of followers you get and support group, because that's what I've been realizing, because like I'm not in no way big or anything, but going from the 800 follower range to 10,000.
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing that up because I'm really, really curious about that path. So sorry. So I totally cut you off there.
All good.
But yeah, you went from like 700 or 800 to 10,000 in 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, be honest. Was there any paid advertising or targeting behind that, or is it just organic growth?
So I run ads to my brand because but I don't run brands to me, or I don't run ads to me saying like follow me. So it's more like just visibility, ad spend.
People are just connecting with the content.
Yeah, I just run top of funnel like interest ads kind of stuff. Like I need to work on my retargeting because I think I'm losing a lot of sales on that. But yeah, it's all just like this is my brand kind of ads, not like follow me because this is what I do kind of stuff. So everything was straight through Reels. It's crazy.
I love it. And one thing I will say is even and some people might hear this and they may not understand all those terms.
Yeah.
Even if you are, and I know this from experience with my band, even if you are paying for clicks, it does not equal followers. We've sunk a ton of money into targeting like new single releases. And if the song is bad, the song is bad and no one's going to follow you.
Yeah.
And so I think that just really speaks to the quality of your content, because in 2 months, you could throw all the money you want at something. And if the content is terrible, you're not going to get 10,000 followers.
Absolutely.
And so I think it really speaks to you've hit something. You've really hit something with your content, with the way that you show your work. Obviously it's good quality stuff. Like,
thank you.
Like, I know. Would you consider that like one of your flagship designs, or is it just kind of the latest and greatest?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a flagship for sure. Yeah, I'm doing different variations and like colors. So that's when it's like it makes it. It's like okay, people like this one. I'm gonna sell more of this one.
I think people seeing that, they're connecting with it. And I think it's awesome. I'm excited to come to like, I guess, meet you back in a year and say like, hey, well, you did 200K it was 700 to 10K. Sorry, you did 10K in 2 months, and then in 1 year you managed to hit 500,000 followers. Like I'm super excited to see like how it scales up. I guess.
Yeah, follower count in social media is like very interesting because when you don't have it, you're like, I want to get there. But as I saw it go up, I was like, I just have a lot of DMs from random people, like mostly manufacturers. Do you need supplier? I'm like, no, I don't need supplier. I already have my fucking people, you know? But it's good to have options.
Dude, yeah. I hate those emails.
Yeah, but to be honest, like through all the noise, there are like cool people I've also connected with. So it is kind of like that double-edged sword where it's like, not everything's going to be good, but I still have this new visibility that I never had that I've wanted for years, and it does add a little bit of pressure. Like I can't just post some random picture on my story as much as I used to, I kind of feel like that, but I still want to keep it real because I'm not trying to be like a company. Like I'm me and this is what I do. And I don't want people to look at my page and be like, oh, this is becoming like corporate shit. I don't want to get that vibe off. Which is why like I like to emphasize me making things and like showing me being more hands-on versus just like showing product, because you can like, if I show a product, like someone could have printed that. You don't know.
Right.
But if I'm like peeling 100 vinyls, weeding all that, like people are like, damn, even this guy's like grinding it out. And I think it's good to have that transparency because like I'm not trying to hide anything. Yeah. This is the reality.
How's the feedback been on? Because I go through your comments. I've been through like your comments on some pages, and I love to see when people are like, oh, dude, like I got to try that. How has the general feedback been not from the bot? We all have the bots.
Promote on page blank.
Come to Brazil. I used to be for all the bands. Come to Brazil, and now it's promote on this one. Yeah, but besides that, how's the feedback been?
Feedback's been good. A lot of people asking about, things that I already talk about in the video. So I'm just kind of like, you didn't read it. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly pretty good. Like people just ask like, oh, what settings do you recommend? And, that's information I'm down to give out, without like a consultation session or anything.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know, it's weird because when you buy like equipment and you buy the cutter and you buy the rolls and then you put the settings in and it never works in the first go. I don't know for you, but for me, especially the brick, we can talk about the brick more later. But man,
brick. I love brick. But that's a fun one.
I've had to change the cut settings on that so many times until I realized that I just cranked the blade up to 10 and I don't have any more problems anymore.
Oh, there we go. See, I think I haven't done. We did brick a few episodes ago, but I didn't cut it.
Okay.
All right, pulling the curtain back a little bit, you guys. I didn't cut it that day. We had Ronnie, who you met.
Yeah.
She cut it for me. And so I saw when I looked at it, I was like, oh man, some of the corners were a little jagged.
Yeah. The corners are tough.
Yeah, corners are tough. Have you tried using the craft blade, which is the thicker blade?
No, but I have the premium 1mm line.
Okay.
Yeah, that thing changed my life.
Oh, did it really?
Yes.
I haven't used that one yet.
Yeah, the stock one, the click one.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine when you start off, but I kept on like disassembling it because I was like, it's not reaching to the 10 setting, and it'll just keep on clicking. And I think I broke it. So I was like, all right, I need to figure this out because I need to cut more vinyl. And I just bought the premium one. And I was like, oh, this is good. This is better. You can
that makes so much more sense. But yeah, so that's what I've done in the past with my Cameo.
Cool.
Yeah. And I guess while we're on this now, like, so let's kind of talk about your transition into making clothing. So you're booking gigs and you've worked with some pretty like high level people. I mean, did you get those partnerships through the graphic and video elements, or was it for the clothing and merch?
Yeah.
production?
So full disclosure, like my previous company, Electric Family, they gave me the green light to list like the vendors or the clients we worked at as like my clients as well, because I was like running everything.
Yeah, of course.
So I really appreciated that they let me do that because I know some companies don't like that.
Yeah.
And the reason being is like I was one of the first members that they hired.
Oh,
so I built the company with them. I was with them for 7 years, and
wow,
we went from a small office in Santa Monica to like an office with a warehouse in Montebello and stuff.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and that's the main reason why like I think I'm here right now is because
now you say you were working there.
Yeah.
So oh man, I don't want to jump ahead.
It's okay. What's up,
dude? That's like so fascinating to me. So at some point you had to even break away from that.
Yeah, I just hit up. So I was the creative director there as well as brand director. But I started in the warehouse, kind of like how you started, from the bottom here.
Yeah.
Because I loved it. This kind of ties back to that first question is like the music part. I was like, how do I get into the music industry? I had no clue. But this brand Electric Family was like kind of blowing up because they do charity work with artists. They donate a portion to charity and all this. And I was like, this is tight. I like this. And I was 24 at the time, so I had nothing to lose. I left my engineering job and my parents were freaking out. Oh yeah. That was a crazy time. That was the first time I think I felt like my parents actually like kind of blacklisted me.
Oh, did they give you the whole disappointed speech?
Oh yeah. They were like, are you on drugs? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Am I? What did you tell me? But to circle back on that a little bit, but they're really proud of me now. They're just like, man, they visited me 2 months ago and saw my spot and like my operation. They're like, damn, like you did this. And I'm like,
that's cool.
I told you. Don't doubt me. Like I go 1,000%. I don't like doing stuff half-assed. So, but yeah. Sorry, what was the question again? What was the?
Oh yeah, so we were talking. So basically transitioning from working for a company that you helped build from the ground up to venturing off completely solo.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Jared. Yeah. So from Electric Family, like I was there for 7 years, and I just hit a ceiling there where I wasn't really getting what I wanted out of the company, which it's cool. It's not my company, and like the guys are awesome. I really appreciate what they've done for me, but I just wasn't getting that creative fulfillment that I needed. And funny story is that we actually had this subscription box program that I was running. I was sourcing, designing, and everything, and that was kind of where I got my design like chops. Really, like that's where it started leveling up because every month we had to drop a shirt. Oh, so I had a deadline like every 14 days to get this designed, produced, and then shipped out. So
dang,
my deadlines are crazy. It's even shorter sometimes, but but yeah. So that at that point I already like Photoshop is like. I can use Photoshop with my eyes closed because
Yeah.
I've been using it since 7th grade with some cracked software off, LimeWire and stuff.
We all did it.
The good
We all
old
did
days.
it. Yeah.
The good old days before the cloud, which I pay for now. So
Yes.
yes, it's fully funded by my account, so it's not bootleg. But yeah, so Photoshop, I always loved it. Very tough to look at and not easy on the eyes when you first open it, but
Yeah.
when you learn
it's intimidating. So I get it. Like some of our, because like I always recommend for people, because we get a lot of sublimation customers at HeatPressNation. I'm always like, guys, use the free stuff as long as you need to, but learn Photoshop. And I was like, oh, it's so hard. And then, I've been in it so long that I forget, but yeah, Photoshop can be intimidating.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
But Illustrator is a different question.
Oh, Illustrator.
That used to stress me out so much.
It still does. Stress me out.
You're like, where did this piece go?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Photoshop was like, I already knew it pretty well at that point. Obviously not as well as now, but good enough to make graphics and all this stuff. But that's when I started picking up Illustrator because, I was under the impression that you have to use vector graphics only, which is kind of true for the most part, unless you work with like separators who know how to do everything. But just to keep like spot color things simple, it's like, okay, just make a vector, it's always going to be 300 plus DPI. So you're chilling. And yeah, from that point on, like I just knew that I had to put more time into what I do. And it just got better and better until a point where like I made a graphic and I posted on my IG as kind of like, oh, that's what I'm working on. And people were like, yo, that's sick. And I was like, that's the first time anyone's ever said that. And I was like, that's a fucking sick moment,
Yeah.
And that gave me enough encouragement that, wow, people like what I make now. Like, because what I was doing was like, I was kind of disassociating the designs from being very brand focused to more general. So Vision started off as like more like graphics, not like the text. Which is still is kind of more around the illustrations and stuff. But that was the moment where I was like, maybe this is something I can do now. And I was also picking up like freelance work for some artists like Jana. Shout out to Jana. She's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, she wants me to design her jerseys, so I'll design her jerseys. And it's like sometimes when you get work, you might not know 100% how to do it, but you got to figure it out on the job.
Yes.
And then you upgrade your skill set. And I think like it's always good to kind of overreach a little bit. You don't want to go super hard and be like, oh yeah, I can make like, a full 3D rendered movie for you. Like I'm not going to do stuff like that. But it's like, I can do that, and then I figured it out kind of thing. So.
Yeah, for sure. Cause like, I think if you're not extending yourself at least a little bit, you're just going to stay stagnant.
Exactly.
Then all your stuff's going to look the same.
Correct.
Yeah.
And your rates are going to be the same.
Yeah.
So it's a business thing too.
You got to make money. It's not a charity. You know.
Yeah.
You can work with charities.
Exactly.
But my business is not a charity.
Yeah. You got to pay yourself first, just pay for necessities. And then if you have more, you can help out. But you got to kind of keep the ship running first,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So from that point on, like, it's all this like little confidence boosters, like giving me like that moment where I'm like, okay, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And I spent about 4 months working on my IKendoit.Studio like website, Shopify, all this, trying to get it set up as I was kind of stepping out of my role at Electric Family. And I gave him like a 4-month notice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because like I have nothing against them. And like, we ended on very good terms. I'm actually doing their pop-up shop this weekend.
Oh,
so,
sick.
It's like full circle kind of thing. And yeah, it's just like that was the moment when I realized like the only thing a company really does for a lot of people is like give you that kind of safety net and financial support, because like when you start funding your own samples, you sample way less now. You're like, wait a second, this costs $200. Like I just need one. But when you're in a company, you're like, I'll sample in all sizes, get it to the client overnight shipping. Like you don't think about the finances as much, although you probably should. But it's like it becomes a lot more real because now your bank account, you see that every single day. And you see the charges, you're like, I'm spending too much here. So yeah, that's kind of like the transition was like just having the confidence of realizing, okay, people actually acknowledge what I do now. And I think that was a big play before I dove off into my own stuff. I
like what you said a moment ago when you mentioned how you made the focus more on the graphics and not so much on putting text on a shirt. On one of your reels, you were giving your tips. And I'm hoping you could speak to this one. Like, what's the? Yes, there are 5 tips.
No, I'm just kidding.
But when I saw that reel, and then it reminded me of when you said it right now, is like, and I had this problem when I launched my brand. Like, it was just about my logo, which I thought was dope. But tell me why that's not a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, graphically things can look good, right? But that's also a subjective thing. It's like everyone has a different preference, but there is consensus when things look good. But you buy a brand because you like the brand. You don't buy the brand because you like the logo. The logo is kind of like that subconscious like attachment to the brand that happens over time. So like, I mean, the best example is Nike, I think. Like, you know, you put the swoosh on anything, people are like, oh, Nike, it's dope. You know, it's crazy, but that's how much brand power they have. Or even Supreme, you know, the box logo. Oh, you see the box logo, not as popular right now, but
it was a couple years ago.
It was crazy. But you put the box logo on anything, people are like, oh man, so sick. But it's like, it's just a water bottle. But suddenly it's a sick water bottle because it says Supreme on it. And that's like the biggest thing that I think people don't realize is like, you can pay $2,000 to get the best graphic designer to make a logo, but if your brand has no story, like no one's gonna care.
Yes, you know? Dude.
So
I've seen that happen a lot. And again, starting with myself, like I've made this blunder before. Is like you might have a couple friends buy your stuff with your logo on it because they love you. And like how you said, having a story, they know your story, but the general public, the people who you're advertising to, you're paying these ads, all this money to send people back to your brand, and it's just a logo shirt and nobody knows you.
Yeah.
So then when I from there, dude, that's what, like, dude, you were like preaching to me, man.
It's tough out there.
With that, really, it is tough on the streets, bro. But then when I made my focus towards getting better at just designs, moving away from my own brand logo, that's when I think I started seeing people like it more. Nice. Not that I'm huge in any way at all, but just even with what little tiny minuscule minor success I've had,
that's still something.
I noticed it was when I made the move towards graphics. So how have you kind of seen that in your latest designs? Do you keep track of like, hey, this one's more graphic heavy, this one's more logo? Like, do you keep track of that? Like, or at least in your mind, like, is that at the front of your mind?
Yeah, for sure. Because like ideally, everyone wants to kind of move to logo and branding stuff because it's a lot easier, and you can like, I mean, it's easy because you don't have to recreate a design every single time, and like you can do multiple colorways, different garments, and like just keep on cranking it out. So I have like a litmus test that I do is like, you know, we can go through this later on the samples and stuff, but like the vision, right? Like this is like not a staple. Like this is a design, right? It's not in like my logo branding kit if I were to send that to somebody.
Okay, right.
Versus like the vision, like I don't know if you can see this here, but the V star is kind of like more of a brand mark, right?
Yeah.
So I'm testing like, okay, if I put this on shorts, are people gonna buy that? And then if I see sales, maybe I can kind of shift that onto a garment and see like, or a shirt, sorry. And then just see like, oh, okay, now people like it on the shirt. Cool. It's like establishing itself within the brand. Got it. And kind of like eliminating what does and does not work. So I would say that it's like, that's the whole thing with the heat press is like, you can just make one unit for yourself. It's crazy. Like it's changed literally everything for me because committing to a sample, you know, screen printed sample.
Yeah.
It's expensive. And then you got to wait like 2 weeks, you know, and then you got to get it shipped to and back from the vendor. Yeah. So many fees, you know, but the heat press and the cutter, you just invest like, you know, I don't know, 1.2K or something like that. I think that's my bill. And you buy materials. But once like the press starts paying itself, now you're just cranking everything out and it's like awesome. Dude,
my equipment has paid for itself so many times over. Even, I want to say, because this I did keep track of. When I first got my press, well, this was 7 years ago. So it was cheaper back then.
Back in the day. Before inflation.
With my little employee discount. I don't know the exact dollar amount. I want to say I dropped like $700 together for whatever it was.
Good price.
Right? Yeah. And I had it paid off within, I think, like 6 months of very casual use. Because again, I started here knowing nothing. Couple weeks later, bought my stuff. Was learning on the job. My first shirt's peeled.
Oh no, heat press sucks.
Yeah, dude.
What is this sticker?
Yeah, and that's because I didn't I guess I hadn't gone through that part of training about setting the right pressure.
Yeah.
You know, because I was very green, very new. And obviously here, like yes, I got training on how to make shirts, but really I got training on how to answer phones and do that sort of thing. So learned the hard way, had some customers return some stuff, grew, but paid it off.
Yeah.
In just a few months. And dude, when I think of other stuff that I've bought, like, you know, I don't know. I don't make a lot of money as a musician at all. So my guitars, they don't pay themselves off.
But you write it off as an expense.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
Tax tips. Very important, honestly.
They actually are very important. All right, so before we move on to process, because we got to talk about brick. We got to talk about brick.
Always the brick.
But really quick, I guess, moving on from before we move on from like the brand section, like, so you have vision and you also have house.
Yes.
So which one came first?
House came first.
Okay.
Because in the beginning there was house.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I like that. I like that play.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So house came first. What was that kind of birth and what was the inspiration behind that? Was it just like, did it start as like, I made one shirt and it blew up, or what was the story behind that?
So that kind of goes back to the whole subscription box thing I was doing.
Okay.
House was one of the designs I threw in there. And I don't get feedback, so I wasn't sure if people liked it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I had the artwork, so I kind of kept it, because I mean I made it on my own time.
Right.
So obviously it's like, this is mine. And I'm a house music DJ producer, so house music means a lot to me, especially with like the upbringing of electronic music from like first grade, the whole DDR story.
Mm-hmm.
It all kind of ties back to like who I am today. So house music, like, I know it started in the 80s in Chicago. It's like, Black and LGBT like origins, and I respect that, and like I'm not trying to take anything away from it. I'm more like building on top of the fact that house music can be for everybody. Like, that's why music festivals are so big, and it brings people from all different walks of life together just because of music. It's crazy, and that's what I really fell in love with, is like the whole music scene. And that's why I wanted to be a DJ and producer, because like I wanted to give that feeling of being in the crowd from the stage.
Yeah.
And I got to play some cool gigs. I did Splash House in Palm Springs 3 times.
Nice.
I played with Brownies and Lemonade. They're like really dope group, in LA based as well. And yeah, I just think like house music means a lot to me. And the thing with like music merchandise is it can be very cheesy.
Yes.
A lot of the shirts say like house music is the best, I'm a house head. And my goal was to like kind of be more low key, because house music is like pretty low key. Like it's more of like the cool people club kind of. But
yeah,
not
like
really,
there's
but
to my knowledge, there's not really a house award at the Grammys.
I don't think so. It's more just basic electronic music.
Right.
But yeah, I mean house music, I think it's kind of like the purest form of electronic, close to like techno, because it's like, techno came first and then house came afterwards. I believe that was from a video I watched recently. Just trying to make sure I'm educated, because I do like want to respect the origins of where things start. But yeah, like just kind of pushing the house music like vibe to people without explicitly saying house music. It's just house, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a test, is like, are people going to know what this means? And apparently people do know what it means, because I had a sample hat that I made, similar to this one, but the dad hat version. But I worked to a bar and the bartender was like, yo, sick hat. And I was like, he knows. He knows something.
You know what that means?
Yeah. So like, it's the same thing. Like I think every design is kind of like that trial where you got to wear it.
Yeah.
If no one says anything, it's either like they don't want to approach you because they might feel awkward or strange, or they don't care about what you're wearing, which is most likely the second part.
Yeah. Dude, what's funny is like the other day I made myself, sorry to Universal, whoever owns it, but Lord of the Rings. I made myself a Lord of the Rings. Dude, I just put the Return of the King poster on a t-shirt and I just wore it. I was testing out the white toner printers.
It's just a sample.
It's just a sample. Yes, not for sale. Definitely not for sale.
Exactly.
Dude, I've never had more people want to talk to me. Like, I don't know if I put out bad vibes on any other day, but the day I wore, like the door guy at Costco was talking to me. The cashier at Trader Joe's was like, dude, like I was like, oh, cool. It's like a superpower. Like,
especially the Trader Joe's person, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, well they talk to everybody.
They're energetic.
Yeah.
Not by choice sometimes.
My boss says to ask you about your day.
I gotta talk to 5 people.
But yeah, so I never had more people talk to me than about that shirt, and I think that, to me, I wish it would have been one of my own designs, because then I would have known, like, okay, like that's for sure the test on what works and what doesn't, I guess.
Yeah, so house came from that basically. It's like kind of pushing house music to a more like cool niche looking design without being too loud about it. And I'm actually working on a brand new house logo right now with the designer from Mexico. Super dope, like freehand graffiti, black book kind of look. And I think like I do want to kind of graduate from what I have now. Like this got me to here, which is cool, but I understand with growing and like, there are some things that may be not correct under copyright law and things, and it's like, I don't know, I think it's okay to take a chance, but you don't want to just keep on writing it because it's doing well. I think you should always have a plan B. Yeah. And like, I want to also be known for my own design that I create, even if it's like with another designer, it's like we work together. And that's why like, sorry.
Creating and curating.
Exactly. Yeah. So, it's still going to be low key, but like I'm thinking about eventually kind of phasing out most of the flip logo and maybe the try logo too. But the try logo, I feel indifferent about
That's
that
cool,
one.
man.
Yeah, and like honestly, like man, if people know anything about streetwear, it's all just ripping other people's shit. Like straight up, like it's how you do it. It's like how it kind of separates you, I think.
Yeah.
And I know mine's like not intricately done differently, but I don't see anyone else doing it. Remember how many antisocial social club like shirts there were? Like
Yes.
every club, every cafe, every restaurant. I'm just like,
I don't even know who the original, what that was about. I just know all the ripoffs.
it was about sad boys.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's about being sad.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? It's like people like that, like no one said a word because everyone was copying it. But like, why do you want to copy everyone else?
Yeah.
You know? So that's kind of where I stand with everything. And
That's cool.
yeah, and you know, I'm glad it's brought me to here because it gives me confidence. It gives me an outlet to produce what I want to produce, and like people look dope when they wear it, and I'm like, hell yeah, this guy's like wearing it at a show.
Heck
you know,
yeah.
on stage, off stage, it doesn't matter to me. Like people supporting is all that matters to me.
It's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now kind of going over to your actual process.
Mhm.
Earlier we kind of mentioned how like, yeah, you use stuff that's accessible that other people can use in hopes to like influence them. Like, yeah, get out there, do your own stuff. One of the things that you use that I think is one of the most underrated products in heat transfer, you use Caesar brick.
Oh yeah, the brick.
Yeah.
Brick's where it's at.
Can you do us a favor and just like share like your do's and don'ts for brick? I think a lot of people, they'll try to put like a big chest logo of brick and like, it sucks. I'm like, no, you're just using it wrong.
Yeah, the brick shines on like minimal logos, I think.
Mhm.
I got the inspiration from Superdry because Superdry actually has a lot of dope like process printing that they do.
Mm.
And I was looking on Stalls or Transfer Express for materials, and I was like, these are like okay. They look close, but I know it's not the actual thing. And I think on YouTube, I was searching like textiles and materials to use on Cameo, and then this person was doing a tutorial on the brick, and I was like, this is it. This is the thing that I want to use. Like, and I bought I bought a small sheet. It was like $10, you know, the
Yeah.
trial piece, and cut it out, pressed it, and I was like, this is some high end shit. Like this is cool.
Yeah.
And I just made it in my house. Like, how the hell did that happen? You know? So do's and don'ts. Don't go too intricate with your designs, like the corners.
Yeah.
It's a hit or miss because some designs like they come out. I have a techno shirt with me I can show you,
Mhm.
but the corners are like 2 millimeters thick. Like, but they come out amazing. And I think that's because the blade settings and the cut settings need to
Okay.
be optimized. And when you buy it, I think a lot of manufacturer settings don't work straight out of the box.
Yeah.
Like I wasted so much vinyl. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So yeah, tweaking the settings, and you know, I'll share you the settings. I use 10 blade on Cameo 4, and I think pressure like 6 or pressure 17 and speed.
You know it by heart.
Yeah, well,
That's
I
awesome.
have a bunch of screenshots. And speed like 2 or 3. I like to cut slow.
So you slow it down.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. I cut everything slow, especially with the more expensive material because like the PTSD from my cutter going rogue and just cutting my 3M. Oh man, when the 3M gets cut, like you just wasted $20.
Oh
Like,
man.
it's crazy,
Yeah.
you know. And then my shirts are LA
expensive
Apparel,
stuff.
so they're like, you know, $10 to $12 a pop.
Ooh.
So now I'm messing
That's
up.
the
like,
wholesale price for it?
yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. That's why my shirts are 40 something. Cause
Yeah.
my margins not.
You have to. Yeah.
Yeah, my margins aren't even that great on it, you know. But it's okay because like I don't want to upsell and like charge 50, 60 because then I might alienate people from buying it.
Yeah.
You know? I'd rather sacrifice like another $5 on a shirt just so someone else can buy
I
it.
always have that struggle of where to price my shirts because me growing up, I used to always want the cool like skate shirts. And then you go even going into Vans, and when I was young, like a $27 shirt was a lot of money. Like I was looking for like a $10 shirt, $15, you know. And then you go to other brands. Like I remember, like as a kid, I used to always want to buy like Ezekiel shirts or the ES, like from the shoe brands. Buy the shoe.
Did you buy Crooks and Castles and stuff?
Dude, okay, so crazy story.
LRG,
One of my old
Echo.
homies, he was on the ground level of Crooks. I think his brother-in-law or somebody was not one of the founders, but they were one of the early someone's, like the purchasing guy or something like that. So he would flow us all these samples from Crooks and
That's
Castles.
awesome.
So, dude. So I thought I had this one sample jacket that to this day I never ever saw it on anything. Right? I think it was a prototype. I wore that thing with pride. I wore it out. I wore it completely.
Do you still
to the
have
ground.
it?
No,
Oh.
I don't know what happened to it. I'm pretty sure I lost because it got busted up.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I wore it so much that it got all busted up, and so yeah. In hindsight, and that this was at least 15 years ago or something like that. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so this was before like the whole eBay vintage, before the anything from the early thousands became collector's items. So like I wasn't thinking, you know, if I would have done that, I'd just put it in a box and hit it.
Oh yeah,
But,
like all the Pokemon cards.
yeah. Oh, I never knew my Pokemon cards were gonna be worth money.
Yeah,
Like,
everyone's
geez.
like, "Oh, I have all these collections at home." I'm like, "Yeah, but is it in good condition? Because I don't think so."
It's been in it's been in your sweaty attic.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a whole different story.
But yeah, so back to brick question.
Back
Did
to
you
the
ever
brick.
try brick 1000?
No, what is brick 1000?
So-
is that the thickness? I'm
Yeah.
guessing?
So brick this brick that we use today is actually called brick 600 because it's 600 microns thick.
That's right.
The previous version used to be brick, and they wouldn't call it 1000. The original was just brick, but now we refer to it as 1000 because it was 1000 microns thick.
That's hella
So,
thick.
dude, it was even thicker, and it was way harder to cut.
Yeah.
You had to have like, even with the cameo, I don't know if the cameo could cut it right because you had to have the like the 60-degree blade for like your GCC or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. The
It
high
was super
tech.
thick. It caused so many problems that Caesar made it thinner so more people could cut it right on the.
Consumer friendly.
Yeah,
Anyone
yeah.
can pop it up and
But
just.
now I don't know where to find the 1000.
Now it's a collector's item.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I'm imagining because like 1000 is almost double as 600, so that's
Yeah.
like hella thick.
it's
That's like,
very,
yeah.
very thick. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever mess with like the flocked vinyl or any other thick vinyls?
Not really, because it's like not the look that I want for my clothing.
Okay.
So I usually only go for stuff that I would actually make. If people send me samples, I'm down to test it out just to see what it looks like. Like, so it's called Caesar, not Sizer.
Oh, Caesar,
Sister?
yeah, Caesar.
Caesar. Okay, I was been saying
Yeah, like the
Sizer.
salad. Yeah,
Sizer 600 sounds like a tech like
Yeah.
some kind of equipment.
yeah. He actually Sizer 600. It sounds like they'd be playing a festival. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so the Caesar, I got the metallics, like the Easy Weed and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And they're cool, but I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of it, to be honest, because
Yeah.
like I think Stahl's electric is actually pretty good. That was actually the first shirt that I pressed, which I didn't bring with me, but it's like a mesh sport tech shirt. Because my first idea was like I wanted to make cool streetwear designs for like active people.
Okay.
Because I was hiking in Hawaii, shout out to Hawaii, and I was like, man, everyone wears like ugly ass shirts, or it's like the club that you're in high school or college, and that kind of
yeah.
becomes the workout shirt, which is like some thin Bella canvas tee or whatever. Which
Yeah. Just your busted up.
yeah,
shirt.
the busted light stuff. And I was like, what if I create like a premium workout, kind of like Arc'teryx does it, Patagonia.
Okay.
But not as expensive. Obviously, tech wear can get crazy pricey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, these blanks are like $8 to $10, and then press it, a couple bucks. So yeah, I pressed this mesh shirt, and that was the electric because I thought the electric in photo was the 3M because it looks
got it.
similar because they're both gray and metallic.
Yeah,
And then I
but
got
that one's
it.
not reflective.
It's not reflective.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's fine. And to this day, it has not ripped or anything. And I washed that
Nice.
like twice a week for 52 weeks.
Yeah.
So shout out to Stahl's keeping it together. The wash
There we
test
go.
works. Yeah, because I think the thing with vinyl is like if you apply it correctly and you take care of it, it lasts as long as like anything
Yeah,
else.
as long as the garment.
correct.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
dude, I hate when people give vinyl a bad rap. Like, it peels. I'm like, no, it peels because you try to use your iron.
Mm-hmm.
It peels because you didn't set your press right.
Yep.
But it doesn't peel because it peels. Like,
Mhm.
I've never had a piece of vinyl peel. Once I learned how to do it right, I've never had anything peel since.
Yeah, because
period.
it more so kind of cracks like screen print or like it rips
Yeah.
in the corners, But that's natural. That's just wear
Yeah.
and tear after.
There's not a shirt in the world that will
Exactly.
not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty big misconception with the heat. I know that's one of the questions coming up probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like because even me before I bought my press and like, I saw people like, I think one of the things on the sheet was like, who inspired me or who gave me the information to get started. Big Brando, that guy
Love
is
Big Brando.
dope as fuck. I think this other guy, I forgot his exact name, but Rich Kun, I think.
Oh, yeah,
Rich?
yeah. Hustle Ninjas.
Hustle Ninjas, yeah,
Yeah.
those two guys, like, cause I was watching, I'm a YouTube guy, like YouTube
Yeah.
University, cause I
100%.
cause that was like our thing, like high school was when YouTube came out, so it's like very, part of my
Oh,
soul
yeah.
and my academic experiences, but I like spending time on YouTube and looking up how to heat press. There's so many crafters, so many people sponsored, so many people trying to sell things, and
Yeah.
I think their channel spoke the most to me because they were just two dudes that kept it very real. And that's who I strive to be as well. Like, I don't like selling things to people. It's more like, this is what I do. This is what I have, you know, you
Right.
want it or not, you know,
Yeah.
not as aggressive.
And then there's not, I love those guys because they're not like real big gatekeepers either. Like
Yeah.
they're just very free with the information. That's one thing I noticed about your channel. And I don't know, did they like influence you to be like that? Or because you're very free with your info. Like, was that like an influence of them? Or is that just something you're just naturally like, hey, here's how to do it?
I love teaching. I wanted to be a chemistry teacher first.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a whole different story.
Whole big lifetime ago.
Yeah, I mean, you know, life is crazy because things change and your career path changes, your mindset changes, like, you know, and you just take a different path, and all of a sudden you're making shirts out of your apartment kind of thing. But yeah, like I like teaching, I like educating because it's always cool to watch someone learn something new and then they start becoming something, and you're like, I had that influence and impact on someone.
Yeah.
You know, it's a beautiful thing to see because now that person will remember you, and then they'll probably pass on that knowledge to someone else.
Yeah.
So for basic information like cut settings, press settings, like I don't care. Like I'll share what I did, you know, like because to be honest, it might not even work for you because your machine may be different than mine. So it's like, yeah, mine is 10, 17, 3, but yours might be 6, you know,
Yeah.
25. I don't know.
I could watch a recipe video and not make the same steak, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm like, this is what I are indeed. This is what works for me, which is like, I think what Big Brando says a lot. It's like, this is what I do. This is what I like. If you want to do it, that's up to you. But this is how I do things. And yeah, I think I definitely got that influence from him. But that's like cool. When I used to, I guess, coach music production, I did some like one-on-one lessons and stuff. Like when I do sound design or mixing, it's the same thing. It's like, this is how I do it. But you don't have to do it the way I do it because there's 1,000 ways to do these things. And that's what's beautiful about being a creative person is like, there's no right way. You know, and as someone who doesn't have a formal training in like creative or anything, like I just learn on the go. Like it's a lot of trial and error, but that's really when you learn like what doesn't work. Yeah. When in school, like you only learn what works. So you don't have that. So true. Yeah. You don't have that like, I don't know. It's just a different upbringing, I think, as a creative person. Like you're willing to just throw everything at the wall. What sticks? Okay, what does this stick? What does this not stick? You know. Do you have
the DIY disease where everything has like you're fixing your own sink and?
Yeah, I like to fix things. Unless it's like if it's above my pay grade, I'm like, nah, fuck this. Like so I like to bike a lot. Okay. Biking in general, maintenance is easy. But the derailleur, which is like the gears and shifting, like you turn something the wrong way and you don't know which way it's turning, it starts clicking. And then once it comes off, you're like, oh no,
you ruined it.
How much is this mistake gonna cost me? So yeah, I think I'm realistic, but yeah, I do like being DIY with everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Man, I love all the information you've given us today. And it's really interesting to see, even in your creative path, like you've worked with big brands, you've worked with your own brands. Like, what's the difference between the two? I mean, I would imagine there's more fulfillment working for yourself. But can you kind of speak to like how the experience has been for you in both aspects, big brands versus your own?
Yeah. I mean, this kind of ties back to the whole brand power thing. Like when you work with a bigger brand, like the budget's higher, but sometimes the creativity isn't as high because, you know, a client wants what they want, right? So you're kind of being plugged in to make what they want. But as a designer, I think you have the freedom to create what you want while adhering to their guidelines. So it's like a challenge in itself. One of the biggest projects I worked on was with DC and Batman. It was the Millennium collaboration that we did through Top Drawer Merch. Not me personally, you know, but I led the creative.
Of course, you're still involved.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, the challenge is like when you work with a big company like that, you can't just take the logo and put things inside of it. There's like IP rules and regulations. So like that's why when you see big companies collaborate with like big films, you're like, why is this so whack? Like it's just logos. But that's because there's all these rules, and you know, I had to learn that way. And it doesn't give you that same creative fulfillment versus like working on my own brand. You know, I'm the creative director, I'm the production lead, I'm the customer service person. You know, I'm everything. So I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. And I think the fulfillment is so different, but your risk is bigger because you're relying on yourself to bankroll. You're relying on yourself to make sales. You know, that's like the trade-off. But I think working with brands is definitely helpful. Like it shapes the way you think about your projects in a bigger light versus just like, I'm gonna make what I like without thinking about the customer experience. So
do you think you'll ever exclude outside work and go 100% for your own brand? Is that the goal, or are you always going to stay open to other work?
I'm smiling because I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, financially, like brands that you create, there's a lot more cash flow going on and it's more reliable on how much sales you make every day versus you get a big project in, that can cover your whole month. Like, and obviously like that will give me time to put more time into my own thing. So sorry, my bad. So I think for now, like I'm cool with working with other people because I do work with people I actually enjoy working with. And that's a big thing is like, I don't work with people I don't like because I've been there so many times. And why make yourself feel miserable when it's your own company? Like don't work with someone you don't like just for the bag. Like, because there are so many clients in the world, you'll find them.
Oh yeah, and I forget who said it. It could have been Brando. Like, not all money is good money.
Exactly.
And it's like, dude, the longer I'm in business, the more.
Yeah, like because I've been, in the industry for 10 years, my own company for 2-ish, and even then, like the main reason why I left was because there were some clients where I was like, I don't want to really work with these people, but I don't have a choice when it's someone else's company because they keep the lights on, But for me, it's like, I don't need this extra work because I can work on something else that I actually care about or work with people that I want to grow with, So yeah, the fulfillment is, I think, what draws me to my own branding stuff a lot more.
Dude, so I feel like there's been so much valuable information. Honestly, your story is really inspiring. Like I love your path. I feel like we're on similar paths, definitely different. I am jealous of your independence right now.
Same but different.
But yeah, man. But I have to ask, like, there's a lot of people watching who they're seeing your story and they're like, man, I want to do that. So what advice would you give somebody who wants to start their own line, their own clothing brand, merch line, whatever it is, but their own elements, their own creativity on the t-shirts or hats or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, first off, like the fact that people even care about what I do means so much to me. So it's honestly unreal. But the first thing I would say is like, don't be afraid to fail. People are afraid of failure because they're like, I don't want to, waste money and do whatever. But at the end of the day, like if you don't fail, you're not going to learn. Failing is like probably the biggest lesson that you can grow from, because I didn't get here because I did this one time. I got here because I've done so many different things, learned so many different things, and it's just become this because I never gave up. And when you first start something, like your creativity is at its all-time high because you don't know any like specs.
Yeah.
When you first open Photoshop and you make something, it's gonna look crazy, and like you'll never probably repeat that again.
Yeah.
When you first open Ableton, which is a music producing software, you're gonna do the craziest sound design that you'll probably never ever do when you're like 2 years in. Yeah. But like those are the moments that I think are really precious, and like that kind of defines your journey to move forward, because you started it because you love it, and doing something because you really care changes the way you approach it, and you can't fail yourself. Yeah. At least that's how I see it. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like if I let down myself, then I failed because like I'm me.
Yeah.
And like I had no one to turn to. So it's like, it's not really a pressure on myself. It's more like a promise. Like you're going to make this shit happen, or else like no one else is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Dude, good stuff, man. Like I really appreciate I'm taking it all in, and I feel like your last sentence just really just like I'm digesting it right now, because no one's gonna do it for me.
Yeah.
Like no one's gonna set it up. No one's gonna learn it. And I think that's really important, dude. Kenji, I really want to appreciate you for coming by today.
Yeah, of course.
Just dropping all the knowledge, man. All the knowledge, all the inspiration. But before we let you go, people are looking at your shirt, man. They're looking at your hat. So do me a favor, let them know, where can they find you? Where can they find your stuff? How can they support, channel, follows, buys, whatever?
Yeah, for sure. You can find me at IKendoit.Studio, Instagram, TikTok, trying to grow that TikTok. So give me a follow on TikTok, YouTube as well. I want to do more long form content so I can go more in detail with what I do. Also, my shop is IKendoit.Shop. So you can go there, find my vision house. I also sell artwork because I do photography as well. So nice. Yeah, it's like a one-stop shop where I just showcase everything. It's like a garage sale of like my creations. So yeah, find me there. Send me a DM if you want to connect. I'm always down to chat with people. I also offer one-on-one consultations. So if you want to do, an in-depth analysis of your business, or if you don't know how to start, we spend an hour talking about what equipment to buy, what materials I use. It's more of like a casual, kind of like a talk session like this, where you can just get real with me, tell me what your budget is, and I can kind of give you a starting point so that you know how to get your business started. So yeah, that's about it.
Beautiful. Well, dude, thank you so much again for joining us. Everybody watching, thank you guys for watching and listening. This has been the Customizing Culture Podcast, the HeatPressNation podcast. My name is Jared Barbosa, your host, and one more time, give it up Kenji, I Can Do It Studio. Thank you so much.
That is me.
Adios,
Cheers.
guys.